here in New York, Willie, the former president continues to hammer away at the DA in increasingly personal terms. Just since we've been on the air, he posted on his social media platform calling DA Alvin Bragg a Soros-backed animal on Truth Social.
Wow.
Wow.
An animal. Really?
Animal.
Okay.
Wow.
And
He's just going.
Garrett Haig, thanks.
Wow.
Joe, wow, that's even for him.
I mean, he's just going full Nazi here, full fascist. You're doing the whole Jewish international banker thing, and
I'd like to welcome you all to Budapest. We're very, very happy that you're all here today, and welcome to the International Symposium entitled The Media Are With Us, the Role of Television in the Romanian Revolution. On behalf of the International Planning Committee and the Moulton, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all our distinguished guests, members of the press, and all of those interested public that are attending today. Thank you particularly for your very, very enthusiastic responses to our rather hasty invitation following the sudden events of this past December. Like many people in countries throughout the world, I spent Christmas glued to my television set and glued to the radio when I wasn't able to watch television. But unlike elsewhere, the televised events, as seen in Hungary, had a particular intensity and natural proximity. I was not alone in this. Aside from the historical and political importance of what was going on, there was something very, very engaging and very thought-provoking about the way it was all presented.
If you're going to lay the groundwork for an action in a foreign country, you have to sort of try to condition the population. So propaganda is very important. And you could have black propaganda supposedly emanating from a dissident group within the country, but really sort of manufactured outside the country. You could have broadcasts purportedly coming from inside the country from a dissident group that, again, magnifies the role of the group in the eyes of the population.
At what point in your life did you stop listening to the mainstream narrative?
When I realized that doing my own research brought me more information than listening to the news ever could.
When I talk about the spark to create a revolutionary situation, as in Timișoara or in Bucharest, to push the mass in the streets, it's possible. To provoke incidents, to provoke events, it's possible. I was connected with the Oxford group, with American embassy, as you know, with British consul, as you know, with Deutsch ambassador, Deutsch, Bucharest. If you want to know too much.
Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for your service. Dr. Hill, you stated in your deposition you've been accused of being a mole for George Soros in the White House, correct?
That's correct.
You said in your deposition a conspiracy was launched against you by convicted felon Roger Stone on the show InfoWars, led by Alex Jones, right?
I don't think he was a convicted felon at the time that he launched this, so I didn't use those exact words. But it was indeed Roger Stone and Alex Jones on InfoWars in 2017. And in fact, just more recently, before Mr. Stone endured his trial, they were at it again, reprising the same InfoWars video and adding embellishments.
And they said, I'll quote what they said about you. We here at InfoWars, this is Roger Stone speaking, first identified Fiona Hill, the globalist leftist George Soros insider who had infiltrated McMaster's staff. He said that on May 31st, 2017. I presume you're not a globalist leftist Soros insider, correct?
I think my coal mining family would be very surprised to hear all of these things about me.
I agree.
Actually, leftists, perhaps not so much, but anyway, the left in Europe is a bit different from the left here, let's put it that way.
I agree. Interestingly, you stated in your deposition that a similar conspiracy theory had actually been launched against Marie Yovanovitch.
That's right.
And you said specifically, when I saw this happening to Ambassador Yovanovitch, again, I was furious. Because this is, again, just this whipping up of what is frankly an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory about George Soros to basically target non-partisan career officials. Isn't that what you said?
I did say that, yes.
And I'm sure you've been watching with concern what's happened to other non-partisan career officials. We had Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman, an American immigrant, questioned for his criticism of the president. I believe that he's also of Ukrainian Jewish descent. Would you say that these different theories, these conspiracy theories that have been targeting you, spun in part by folks like Mr. Stone, as well as fueled by Rudy Giuliani and others, basically have a tinge of anti-Semitism to them at least?
Well, certainly when they involve George Soros, they do. I'd just like to point out that in the early 1900s, the Tsarist secret police produced something called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which actually you can still obtain on the internet, and you can buy it actually sometimes in bookshops in Russia and elsewhere. This is the longest-running anti-Semitic trope that we have in history. And the trope against Mr. Soros, George Soros, was also created for political purposes. And this is the new Protocols of the Elders of Zion. I'd actually intended to write something about this before I was actually invited to come into the administration because it's an absolute outrage.
I'm sorry you've been kind of wrapped up in these crackpot conspiracy theories.
Find different perspectives on the story depending on who you spoke to. But if I put myself back in the position of December 1989 and be quite frank about it, a successful breakthrough in Romania was only one thing that was on our minds.
Il y a une alliance objective entre le KGB et la CIA.
În 1989 a avut loc procesul lui Nicolae Ceaușescu și al Elenei Ceaușescu în fața Tribunalului Militar Extraordinar.
That revolution in East Central Europe made it easier, and it put, of course, Romania was always odd man out, Warsaw Pact or anything else, but Germany was going to be reunited. It was the decision of George Bush 41 and the decision of Helmut Kohl, and became the decision of Mikhail Gorbachev, although he never quite understood it.
There was fear that existed throughout the whole Cold War that West Germany might sacrifice its relationship with the West by making a pact with the Russians over the unification of East Germany.
The U.S. government can overthrow CIA. The State Department can overthrow governments if they want. There's no law against it. What the CIA cannot do is assassinate people. So you have one bullet with somebody's name on it.
But if a liaison service did it and that person happened to die, that would be all right?
Yes.
Like cancer. Filling all the blanks for which they wasn't able to fill, giving all the answers to all the issues people asked, which they were not clever or competent enough to give, and having the strongest network.
To preserve their freedom of action and to maintain their clean, uncorrupted image, they refuse to align with any of Serbia's political parties. But they are not reluctant to accept help from outside the country.
Soon after Otpor was formed, they had meetings with senior international officials, including Americans. We all recognized the incredible talent and capacity within Otpor. Now, they made clear they wanted to be seen as a largely Serbian, Yugoslav institution, not as a tool of the West. And we respected that. We thought that was a smart judgment. So from the beginning, we saw in Otpor a degree of enthusiasm, talent, just kind of political sense that was really encouraging and deserved our support.
Talking to Dr. Aquino and his wife, you are a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army.
Correct.
Now, and how does the Army feel about you being head of the Temple of Set?
The Army has known about my religion for the entire
span of my Army career, which began in 1968.
My hope for 2024 is that Trump and Governor DeSantis of Florida will slug it out for the Republican nomination. Trump has turned into a pitiful figure, continually bemoaning his loss in 2020. Big Republican donors are abandoning him in droves. DeSantis is shrewd, ruthless, and ambitious. He is likely to be a Republican candidate.
Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in
This
our
could
national
induce
security
Trump,
intelligence
whose
apparatus.
narcissism has turned into a disease, to run as a third-party candidate. That would lead to a Democratic landslide and force the Republican Party to reform itself.